Great to see all of you here today. So welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living.
And so let's stay in that beautiful place that Fred led us to with the idea of revealing love, loving the way that God loves, loving the way that we love, loving that love lives within us. And simply being with that idea that love is all there is and God is all there is. We relax, we let go, and we remember who we are by singing together. Yeah, thank you, Kenny. Thank you, Ed. Ed, could you make me look a little taller and thinner, please? And so staying in that spaciousness of the I am presence, we remember who we are. We remember that God is all there is, and that God is love and peace and joy and wisdom, and God is here right now, emanating itself as each and every one of us in this room. How grateful I am for that presence, that power, that spirit that lives within each of us and lifts us up and carries us home. So with a grateful heart, I release this word into mystical law, being with what is, as it is, and so it is. Amen.
Well, Reverend Judy is talking about, I don't mind what happens. And so I have a song that I trust will support and serve that message. I wrote this song a few years ago and I'm still trying to figure out what it's about, so maybe it will help me figure that out. This song is called The Problem Is There Is No Problem. What do you do and what do you say? Where do you work and how do you play? Where you heading and hey, where have you been? What do you like and who do you know? What do you see and where do you go? What are you looking at and tell me now? What's again at you? And still it's okay. We do the very best we can. It's alright. We're moving in the right direction. It's okay. We're doing better than before. Now tell me, is that all or is there more? 'Cause the problem is there is no problem. It's plain for all to see. The situation's right and wrong. Depends on you and me. The problem is there is no problem. I'm gonna let it be. I don't need no drama, Mom, I'm gonna be happy. I said, yeah. Whoa. What do you buy and what do you sell? Who do you kiss and what do you tell? And what are you doing with your life? What do you eat and what do you think? How do you feel and what did you drink? What is wrong and somebody please tell me what is right? And still it's okay. We do the very best we can. It's alright. We're moving in the right direction. It's okay. We're doing better than before. Now tell me, is that all or is there more? the problem is there is no problem. It's plain for all to see. The situation's right and wrong, depends on you and me. Said the problem is there is no problem. I'm gonna let it be. I don't need no drama, mom, I'm gonna be happy. What are we all here fighting for? Is it the right to just have more? When has enough got way too much? And when too much still not enough? Whatever it is, it will be done. Whoever you are, you can't go wrong. Whenever it is, you realize how it is to be surprised. The problem is there is no problem. So pray for all to see. The situation's right and wrong, depends on you and me. I said the problem is there is no problem. I'm gonna let it be. I don't need no drama, mama, I'm gonna be happy. Cause the problem is there is no problem. Let's pray for all to see. The situation's right and wrong, depends on you and me. I said the problem is there is no problem. I'm gonna let it be. I don't need no drama, mama, I'm gonna be happy. No problem.
Thank you, Darius. That was a perfect compliment to this talk. I cannot believe how good that was. My talk title this morning is the Krishnamurti saying of, I don't mind what happens, but it really should have been written, I don't mind what happens, ? Because I don't know if that's really the truth about not minding so much. I am so grateful to be home. I am so grateful to be back here today. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Very, very grateful. I have been on quite a journey the past few weeks. I really believe that my life is a pilgrimage. And by pilgrimage, what I mean is it is a sacred journey to a sacred destination. And I like to live my day-to-day ordinary life from that place of having it be a sacred journey. But at least once a year or so, I like to take a more extended pilgrimage to a place that is outside of Ventura. And last year I went on a pilgrimage with my sister to Spain, and this year I was lucky enough and privileged enough to take a pilgrimage to Italy with a couple of my teachers, Dr. Mark Vieira from the North Hollywood Church of Religious Science, and yeah, woohoo, indeed. Is that where you guys are from? Yeah, Dr. Mark and Dr. Marcia Sutton, who is a teacher, and she writes a lot of our curriculum here in all of the Centers for Spiritual Living. I know Doreen's familiar with her work. She does the Fear to Faith stuff, and she does the Raise You and Praise You stuff. And so it was quite a privilege to be with both of them on that adventure. But pilgrimages, particularly to foreign lands, require a lot of preparation. You have to do both inner work and outer work in order to go. Now, the outer work is you have to prepare your body for a long flight and for being on your feet from 6 to 8 hours a day. It's usually a walking pilgrimage is the type of pilgrimage that I go on. And then the inner work is to prepare your mind and your heart and your soul to see the presence of God in everywhere, to kind of combine and integrate the practice, the profane and the spiritual together, to integrate them together. So that's a lot of preparation that needs to be done. And one of the things that Dr. Marcia does for her classes, before any workshop or class or any kind of an event, and this was no exception, is she writes sacred covenants, and that helps us to collectively, all of the people who are going together, helps us collectively to be on the same page and to be looking from the same perspective. So she sent us a sacred covenant before we left and invited us to ponder our vision and our intentions and our goals for this trip. Now, her purpose is love, an awareness of the oneness that makes all things new. I love that. I love that, an awareness of the oneness that makes all things new. And her intentions for the trip were to explore the spiritual heritage that is Italy's greatest gift to the world, to expand my experience of loving God and loving neighbors as myself, to deepen my faith as a means of revealing greater freedom in my life. All beautiful intentions. And then she left a couple of blank spots, and she invited us to set our own intentions. And I thought about it and meditated on it and decided that I have been, the last few years, really deepening in my understanding and my awareness of wholeness, of seeing that God is indeed everywhere, in every situation, and it doesn't matter whether I call it good or bad. And I've been looking for the gift in any situation that I might ordinarily think is not as pleasant as another experience might be. And I've been playing a little bit with the concept of the Krishnamurti quote of "I don't mind what happens." And by that, what I meant was to be in alignment with what happens, to be in alignment with what is, means to be a relationship of inner non-resistance with what happens. It means not to label mentally good or bad, but to let it be. However, when I set that intention, I did not realize that it was an invitation for everything that I ordinarily mind to show up in my life and be dealt with. So the first thing that happened was I got sick. I mean, not life-threateningly sick. I was sick in the bed a couple of days, just feeling dis-ease and discomfort. And I said to myself, what's this about? Health is not my issue. I'm a really healthy person. I like to compare my body to my car. I drive a Honda. Not a terribly sexy car, but boy, is it reliable. And it lasts for a really long time, and it needs hardly any maintenance. So I recover, of course. I get better. And the next thing that happens is that I injure my right foot. I mean, I'm a week from a walking tour of Italy, and my right foot is swollen and discolored and painful. And what's up with that? I mean, I'd love to say that I did it in some exotic way, like pole dancing, but no, I hit the front porch, the stoop of my front porch that has been there for as long as I have owned my house. It didn't jump out and bite me. So I'm okay. I am with what is as it is. And I meditate on my right foot. And I realize that the rest of me is just fine, and I will There's no trouble. I will be happy in Italy regardless of whether I have a painful right foot or not, and I take care of my foot, and I ice it, and I soak it, and I elevate it, and it starts to get functional. It's fine. It's painful, so I get to do Italy with a little pain in my right foot, but it's functional. I can manage. I can be with that. So the next thing that happens, this is a couple of days before I leave for Italy, I lost my money. That one I kind of minded. I'm like, what? Money and I are good. Why would this happen? It made me cry a little bit. It really did. Because I'm going to Italy, I had set aside all of this money to buy things for myself and my grandchildren as mementos of this pilgrimage, this great trip, and it's just flat gone. So again, I'm okay. What's the lesson here? What's the gift in this? I am being with what is. I am judging it. I am labeling it not so good. And the message is, I forgot what the message is. It'll come back. It'll come back. So there I am, hobbling around on my right foot, packing my bags, and the big day finally shows up. And Reverend Susan Williams is my traveling companion, so she comes and we get together and we get to the airport, and we are determined that, what was the line in that song that was so great? No problem, Mama, I'm just going to be happy. Don't need no drama, Mama, I'm going to be happy in Italy regardless of what shows up. So we get into the first of several thousand extremely long lines, which patience is another issue that I got to deal with, and got in and climbed into Sardine Airlines. You know, I really don't believe in hell. But if I did, it would be the economy section of Alitalia. So I'm sitting there, you know, I like my personal space, and I had none. In fact, you know how the seats in economy, they lean back just about that much? When the person in front of me leaned back, we were spooning each other. I don't know about you guys in this church, but I don't like spooning strangers. But I've heard stories. So, and just a little aside. So we make it. Oh, I know what It is just. I mean, this is just really the most uncomfortable flight I have ever been on in my life. And again, once again, I turn within and I say, okay, I'm going to be with what is. Just going to be with. And eventually, I gave up and took a sleeping aid and just tried to zone out. But as an aside, we landed in Rome, and we landed on the tarpet or whatever it is, and tarmac. Oh, what is it? Anyway, we land in Rome, and they have those stairs that they put up, and you have to climb down, and then you have to get onto a tram that takes you to the terminal there in Rome. And the minute we got off the plane, there was thunder and lightning and great big raindrops. And all of us crazy Californians started cheering, yay! It was as if we were, it was really raining in California. We were in Rome. But that's just an aside. So, as I mentioned before, I am working on a deeper understanding of wholeness and oneness and being with what is as it is. I am looking for the gift in any and every situation and experiencing what I experience, not as good or bad, but as a part of God. It's all a part of God. It's all a part of goodness. Or maybe goodness is a judgment. It just is. It just is. So, thinking about my experience with a consciousness of wholeness, from the level of inclusivity, perfection means inclusive of everything. It doesn't mean some sort of a standard that we have set arbitrarily for ourselves. It means inclusivity of all that is. So looking at my situation from that perspective, I was able to see a few gifts in all that had happened to me. For example, yes, my foot hurt. My right foot hurt, and I was tromping through Rome with a painful right foot. I did not get to race through Rome like I ordinarily race through most of my life. I had to slow down. I had to absorb what was going on around me and not just rush through it. What a gift that was. We saw many, many basilicas in Rome, and I get goosebumps thinking about it. I sat in those basilicas absorbing the beauty of the frescoes and the statues, absorbing the majesty, the strength. And I imagined all the millions of prayers that had been prayed in those basilicas, all because my foot hurt. The Monday morning after we landed, it was a Sunday morning after we landed, we were in a hotel which is right next door to the Vatican. So Dr. Mark and I went to the Vatican early for Sunday Mass. We were there at 7:30 in the morning, and it was like going to Disneyland with nobody there. It was beautiful. It was so peaceful. And we sat in the Vatican, and he and I had a conversation, and I came to a healing, a profound healing with my Christian roots. It brings tears to my eyes to think about it. We got masses said for our parents. You don't need a lot of money to do that. My mother doesn't need anything. She's got enough stuff. But having a mass said for her at the Vatican really was touching to her. That was a gift that I could bring back, but without it costing a lot of money. I got to sit, I had to sit actually, at the feet of the saints. I sat at the feet of St. Peter and St. Francis and St. Anthony and St. Mark and St. Clara, Santa Clara. I sat at their feet and just absorbed whatever lesson they had for me. St. Anthony, among other things, is the patron saint of missing things. So I turned my lost money over to St. Anthony. And I did a little prayer. I said, "Dear St. Anthony, if you can, make sure that money is doing something good for somebody in the universe someplace. And I let it go. One of the most fun things that we did was we took a cooking class. I've never made homemade pasta before, but I got to learn how to make homemade pasta in this cooking class, and it was really fun. I mean, I don't eat a lot of pasta, but it was kind of fun to learn how to make it. And I thought to myself, okay, I may not have a lot of money to buy trinkets for my grandchildren, but I can give them an experience. I'm going to teach them at Christmas time when I go to Austin to see them how to make homemade pasta. And I think they probably would remember that more than any little trinket that I might pick up for them in Italy. And that won't cost any money at all. That's when I found out that they take credit cards in Italy too. So they will get a few trinkets after all. The other thing that I learned, one of Dr. Mark's mantras during our stay, whenever somebody started to talk about lack, was there's always more, there's always more, there's always more. So I adopted that as an affirmation. There's always more, there's always more. Of course, we were talking about wine at the time. But so what about my health issues? I'm not a person who gets sick often, as I said. Why would I develop health issues on this particular pilgrimage? I figure it's because my body is telling me that I can no longer take it so much for granted, that perhaps what I need to do is pay more attention to good habits of exercise, of diet, of eating right and living in a right way. And how good it is that I got this lesson in such a gentle way. I mean, the universe could have given me a heart attack to teach me that lesson, but it didn't. It gave me the flu. Grateful, grateful. So I have set an intention to resume my healthy activities. Mary, I will be in class on Monday. And, so I went to Italy to experience life, to experience Italy. I went to Italy to take a closer walk with God, and I did. I went to Italy to gain a more full awareness of the oneness that makes all things new, to experience all that, to experience a really different way of being on this planet, and I did all of that. So, as it turns out, I kind of still do mind what happens. And that's just maybe a part of being human. And maybe that's a part of wholeness too. And so it is.
My friends, all misunderstood. They say we're still for nothing, and there's no way we ever could. And we see everything that's going wrong. The world and those who lead it just feel like we don't have the means to rise above and beat it. So we keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. It's not that we we don't care. It's just we know the fight ain't fair.